Hey guys, and welcome to the Billy Rickman Show. Today I have some very special guests, the power couple, talking power branding. We have Elle and Toby Wilson. Stay tuned, this is the Billy Rickman Show. Hey everybody, welcome to the Billy Rickman Show podcast. And today we have some very special guests on the show, the power duo, power couple. I'm not going to say all the way from such and such because we only found out the other day that we actually live down the road from each other. So when I say all the way from, actually just down the road, they are in northern New South Wales. But are well recognised in the industry, have been around, everybody knows them. It's Elle and Toby Wilson. Thanks so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having us, Billy. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Billy. It's great to be here with you. It's wonderful.
Not a problem at all. And because this is going to be uploaded onto YouTube and it'll be seen on social channels and things like that, but we're also going to take the audio and put it onto a podcast. And so if you're walking your dog right now or you're listening in the car and you're not watching the video version, that's a good thing, because what Elle and Toby didn't tell me is that they've been film producing this morning or video producing this morning, and they're all kitted up, they're all glamoured up in front of their branded background banner. And here I am sitting in my office.
I've got my lipstick, mascara on. I've got it all going on, Billy. I'm ready to go.
Fantastic. You look absolutely fantastic. So tell me, firstly, for people who don't know who you are, tell everybody what you guys do, what your brand is. And because you're now international, not now just international, you've been international for a while, but certainly just making moves all over the world. So tell us all about your journey and all about the business.
Would you like me to start?
You can begin.
Sure. So we are international, and it's really, really exciting. I think what we do we have two brands. So we have True Brow, which is a brand that is just doing great. It's just expanding every single day internationally and here in Australia. And that really, to me, I'm very passionate about True Brow, because I created the system, I created the products that go with it. And I think with True Brow, when I think about it, I was thinking about it really actually the other day, and I was sharing with Toby, just historically, it's the first brand in the world to be 100% dedicated to saving a woman's natural brow. And I think that that's been a huge gap in our industry. So that excites me. That excites me about the system, the method. But what excites me actually even more is how we help salon owners through the use of True Brow to exponentially grow their businesses. And the success that we've had is mind-blowing to me. And to Toby, I think a lot of the time we're just like, it's just incredible, isn't it, really?
Well, yeah, it was basically born out of the, often in the beauty industry, it's quite a commodity-based industry that's very competitive. So we were really looking at solving the core problem of answering the question, why would I come to your salon rather than any other in the marketplace? So the main goal of True Brow and the True Brow brand is to differentiate. It's to actually answer that question in the marketplace and in the mind of the consumer. Why would I come to your salon rather than any others? And obviously there's different models and methods to differentiating in the salon industry. And the goal of the True Brow brand is to essentially make the barrier to entry, make it something that's very difficult to compete with. So after someone spends the time, we're not into quick fixes. We don't do just a quick 2-day training and then you're done. We're talking about a minimum like full 12-month brow training program and sort of business model program that really, really differentiates in a way where you're actually dealing with a skill that is not very easy for someone just to step in and acquire. It's easy to make claims in the marketplace, but as we all know, with the transparency these days across all of the social platforms, you really need to have that authenticity, the actual value that's backed up with the promises that your marketing message is making. So, and if you don't back it up, brands dwindle. It actually can damage your business to have a differentiated message that you can't fulfill on. So you're making promises that you're not delivering. It'll actually cause a decline in your business. So that's been a real focus.
You may have a peak at the start of your business. You may get a lot of interest and boom and whatnot. But then the market will find out, sure enough. And with social media these days, negative comments will crush you. And if you cannot fulfill your promise, like I said, it's just going to crush you in the market. And it's so interesting that we speak about this because last night I did some Q&A actually on Instagram Live. And one of the things we're talking about is how do you differentiate yourself? Because in this day and age, pretty much, you know what, like you see every business doing skin needling, you see every business or salon or every hair salon is doing balayage or whatever you want to do in the hair and beauty space. And they're much of a muchness. They really are much of a muchness. But how do you differentiate yourself? Well, you can differentiate yourself, which I'm passionate about, with your personal brand. And I can see that anybody watching the video now, Elle has got a big banner behind her with a name written all over it. And personal brand, I think, is so super important. But trying to differentiate yourself in 2019 with a product or a service is incredibly difficult, I think. And so the way you guys are doing it is like, it's actually becoming quite unique to be able to do this now. And you guys are doing it with your brand, which is exceptional.
Yeah, thanks, Billy. And I think that one of the things too is that, you know, I love to bring a lot of my branding expertise into it. You know, I think it's really, really important. When our girls actually jump on our salon owners, you know, they get like a bonus 8-week marketing launch strategy. I mean, it's laid out for them because you know, as well as I do, and Toby and everyone out there listening, that the salon owner, whether they're in hair or beauty, is just really time poor. And we could talk about time till the cows come home, really, can't we? And you know what?
Because we have none of the time.
Yeah, you know, like leverage, you do all the, you know, all that talk, all the talk that everybody talks about when it comes to time. But at the end of the day, we're talking about female entrepreneurs, and they are not men, you know. And this brings me to the next brand that we have, which is the Elle Wilson brand, hence what's behind us. And you know, the Elle Wilson brand really is directly, this year I'm going out full ball with a mentoring membership program for female entrepreneurs. We're expanding, aren't we, Toby?
It's actually outside of the beauty industry.
Of the beauty industry. Oh my God. So we're going worldwide, right? And
it always sounds so good when you say things like, and one of the better words, like, we're global. Like the word global just sounds so powerful.
Global. And I think that one of the things that the Elle Wilson brand is really devoted to is, you know, really, I mean, you know, we've actually put across the entrepreneur's alchemist, you know, because really you know, it's a very heart-centered mentoring program, coaching program, and it really is because a female entrepreneur is not a male entrepreneur, and it's not something that is saying she's less than. She's actually, sorry guys, but she's not just equal. I think she's even, like, she's amazing. And when the female entrepreneur comes from the heart center, she's unstoppable. And you know, and I think that the men in our lives are waiting for that. You know, there's really something so beautiful right now about the feminine. And for me, I'm going all the way. My book is going to be the foundation of that. And I've already had quite a few girls contact me, but I can't wait. I'm really excited.
Yeah, we didn't actually mention, Elle has actually got the Power Shift Amazon bestseller in Australia as well. It hit the #1 in the US as well.
I'm going to start blushing.
Educator of the Year for the whole country at the ABIA Awards. I could continue, but
you know, it's so funny. I just want to say, with all those things, like, they just, I mean, they're sweet and it's amazing. You know, I think, wow, okay, that's cool. But I just, you know, it's not where I get my fulfillment. It just isn't.
No.
Like, every time I help someone, you know, every time a woman comes to me and she says, you know what, you've changed my life, I'm doing something different with my children and my business, then I kind of think, wow, that's really something. And I think that
100%. And one of the things, I totally resonate with that. One of the things that I certainly never intended to take my coaching business this way, but it's just kind of inevitably gone that way because we've seen some results by doing this. But one of the things we're sort of now specializing in is business owners who are literally on their last attempt. Like, if I don't make this work in the next 2-3 weeks, that's it.
Love it.
Shutting up the job. And so I feel like we've developed some strategies that we can at least get people, you know what, we can give you some long-term solutions. We can build on that later. But we also have created some solutions where we can actually give you, okay, we'll get you $3,000 or $4,000 in a couple of weeks, in 2 weeks, or we'll get you $5,000 or $6,000 in a couple of weeks extra on what you would do. And it will be enough to pay those bills that you're so worried about, or keep your landlord happy, or get another round of supplies, things like that. And 100%, because when you come to work and you get an email or you get a Facebook message from someone going, Last night I was in tears with my husband because 2 weeks ago I thought I was going to close my business, but I'm now sitting here 2 or 3 weeks on. I've got more money in my bank than I have for the last 12 months. And I'm now looking forward and looking forward to the future again. Those sorts of messages, like you're right, like I've got an ABU and I've got all these accolades for different things, but they're the messages that you actually go, this is why I do it. This is why I do what I do.
I love that you're saying that, Billy, because the amount of times we've obviously run, you know, the coaching program and everything, and the amount of times that I've spoken with a salon owner and they're bound up in cash flow issues in their business, and they've been dealing with a coach, and the coach is trying to get them to put systems in their business so their business can run without them. They're trying to like do all these things. And I think that kind of advice can be dangerous because it's true. Like, sure, it's great to have systems in a business. It's great to, like, there's all of these great things to do. But if someone's got cash flow issues, there's one solution, and that's cash, right? You've got to be
100%. And on top of that as well, people make bad decisions when they're stressed. And so what you have to do first is get people out of that distress so that they can start to think clearly again and make better decisions in their business. And until you get to that point, they're going to continuously have late nights, you know, wake up tired, go to work grumpy, not treat their clients the way they probably should. And it all stems from they're just stressed, and you just have to get them out of that distress first and foremost, and then open the gates to, okay, now let's look at your systems and things like that.
Sorry, Billy, go ahead.
No, but you go.
I was going to say too, I think with women, you know, they really physically, you know, go through just terrible, you know, conditions, like adrenal fatigue is so high in the beauty industry. Then you have, you know, all these other things, thyroid conditions, because, you know, we sort of get addicted to the adrenaline because we're in survival mode. And I think that just cannot continue. It's got to stop, you know. And another thing too is the startups, you know, that's another real passion of mine. All these girls that are starting up, and everyone's an expert nowadays. You know, that it's amazing to me when I wake up in the morning and I go through my news feed at the appropriate time, by the way, not straight away. And I start noticing, you know, everyone's telling you that they know how to fix you, how to fix your business. And to me, I just think that, you know, with any female entrepreneur, first she has to find out who she is, and she has to, I mean, money always in a business comes first. Like we just said, we cannot deny that. So we've got to get that happening first. But if she's not building in a way that is actually energizing her, even when she's got difficulty, you know, this is the key thing. Even when the difficulty hits, if she doesn't have ground inside of her where she can just, you know, like swoop under the waves and come up and still feel okay, and her relationships are working, the relationships with her kids are working, then what is she doing it for? I mean, you've got to ask yourself that question. What are you doing it for? So for me, I just think I take that through True Brow. I take it through any brand that, you know, that I'm actually working with. And it has to be meaningful. You know, and you have to know it's not just about action. You know, we keep saying it's action, action, action. But in this case with female entrepreneurs, because guys, we're different to you. Sorry, Billy. We are. You know,
but that's why we love you, because you're different to us.
What was that? I didn't hear that, but I'm sure I'm going to like it. What did you say?
I just said that's why we love you, because you are different. And it's so interesting. The other day.
That's right. That's right.
I just hired
right? We need each other.
Exactly. The other day the other day I was in the car, and I've just hired a videographer he's awesome. You'll see tons of video content coming from him soon. And I've just hired a marketing guy who's also a male. And so the other day we went out to check the convention center. I think you guys saw the video of me in the arena where we're having celebrated.
Amazing.
And we were in the car, we had the music up loud, and like all of us were like fist pumping and telling like male jokes. And I said, do you know what? I've been in this industry for 10 years. Do you know how long it has been since I've been in a car of men and having like a male moment? I've been surrounded by females. Yeah. But for 10 years, I've had females. And it's interesting now that we've got a balance. We've probably got about 50-50, or maybe not, about 70-30 split in the office now of male and female. But it's interesting how much the dynamic in the office shifts with an injection of of testosterone. And you're so right, Elle, there is such a difference between the way females operate and think and how they're motivated comparatively to men, because the men in our office right now, they're just so analytical, they're so logical, they're so just like facts, figures, numbers, direction, straight lines. Females are not about that.
Yeah, but you know,
they're totally different.
It's true. I mean, some are, and I think that's great. And I think that's why, you know, the men like Toby, without Toby, you know, he's nothing, none of this would be happening. You know, he's the one that brings...
Without you, none of this would be happening.
Well, we're a great team then, right? But really, when
look at you two, what a moment.
I mean, I must say, without Billy, this podcast wouldn't be happening. So
thanks, Toby. Thanks for bringing me into your circle there. Thanks.
But, you know, I think that, you know, without Toby, really, truly, like, none of this would be happening, because he's the one that truly grounds everything, brings it into the world and gives it form. And, you know, I could have knowledge, insight, wisdom. I could have different perspectives. It doesn't really matter. Like, it needs to find its way, you know, to the person that actually wants to hear it. So, but, you know, I think also with female entrepreneurs, they just have so many hats they have to wear. You know, we genetically, you know, even in our DNA, we are just not like men, and we can't have to want to become men so that we can be successful. We have to own our power. We have to own our own beauty. We have to kind of go, hang on a minute, I'm not going to become a man so I can be successful, where I harden, I might get all logical and I forget my own heart, because that's where our greatest strength is. That's where our real power lies. And we have to know how to go back there. We have to know how to work from a heart-centric space. It's so, so important, whether we're starting up, whether we're in the middle of a big chaotic mess. It doesn't really matter. You have to know how to come back there and work from there. Otherwise, a woman will deplete herself. And you've got to admit, you know, she's the caregiver, she's the nurturer. And it doesn't matter what industry she's in the world, you know, that's what she is. And if she's going to deny that, it's like a man denying he's the hunter and the gatherer. And how would that be for him? So, you know, it's kind of like we don't have to go against our nature and our essence so that we can be successful. And I think a lot of women do. Therefore, their relationships fail. And you know what, is it worth it? Is building a business worth losing the most important things in your life? I would say no to that. And you have to learn how to not do that.
I think there's also sorry, go for it. I was just going to say, I think that there's, what I see sometimes is that there's a false belief that can sit at the heart of overwhelm. And often there's a belief that there's some meaningful relationship between adrenaline and being super busy and often stressed out. There's some relationship between that and productivity, when in actual fact, there's really no real relationship between those two things. And often working at something that's really methodical and clear and just doing one single thing at a time can kind of feel like, whoa, everything's slowed down. Like I'm sure that there's things that need to be done that I'm not getting done. If I'm not in the middle of something and I see a Facebook message and I go bam, and then I've got an email and then I'm back to it, that makes me feel like I was hyper productive there. But it's not productivity. There's really, I think that disconnect of the two, and realizing being productive has no relationship with being really busy and very overwhelmed. It's a good thing to sort of kill that belief.
Couldn't agree more. I've got an app on my phone that helps me keep routine. And
what is it? Let's give it a plug.
Cool. It's actually pretty awesome. If you want to download it, it's really cool. It's called Fabulous.
Oh,
Fabulous.
Yeah, it's called download it. It's actually quite fun. They built in all these like daily. It's hard to explain, but they do a lot of like.
We're gonna get it.
Yeah, it's called Fabulous. Download it. And if you're listening on the podcast, watching the video, go and download it. It's really cool. But one of the things I programmed is that.
I want it just because of its name, because I love the word fabulous, so I'm just going to go get it. That's
I would love to have been sitting in on the meeting, the business development meeting, and they said, right, what are we going to call this app? Like, it's really good. Like, well, it's a pretty fabulous app. Like, that's it. It's like the conversation when someone said, when they first found a fly, and they said, what should we call it? Well, it flies. That's it. It's the fly. So, same thing. It's a fabulous app. And so anyway, at 2 o'clock, at 2 o'clock, it sends me a notification, and I program it so it reminds me to do what's called deep work. And it's exactly what you're talking about.
Beautiful.
It's at that time, I turn off all my notifications, shut down my email, and all I do is focus on one specific activity for an hour, distraction-free. And it's amazing when you actually put that into practice. You get to the end of that hour and you realize, I've actually been more productive and got more done in this hour than I have in the other 7 or 8 9 hours of the day, because I'm constantly distracted. Phone calls, Facebook, Instagram, stuff, all those different things. And you're right, you feel like you're so busy, you're like, yeah, I'm so pumped, your adrenaline's kicked in, but are you actually moving the needle? Are you getting closer from where you are to where you want to be? Or are you just running around in circles? And I totally agree with you.
I think also one of the things too that for female entrepreneurs, I'll come back to that because obviously I love it. I'm one of them. Is just, really just stop feeling, stop the inner critic and really seeing, like I love it when someone just has this insightful moment, a woman has this insightful moment where she realizes that the inner critic, she's set it up because it's been purposeful, at some point in her life. And all of a sudden she realizes she doesn't need the inner critic. And it's kind of like a real awakening, this kind of like, wow, what? I can't believe that. I don't need, this inner judge, this inner critic to keep moving me forward. Women have got a lot of work to do, but it's such joyful work when they have a real process to it, where they have understanding. And we really got to stop just, kicking ourselves around and thinking that we should be able to do everything and be everything for everyone. And we just take on so much that it's just crazy. And then when, actually the other day in our coaching program, when we had one of our beautiful girls, a lot of the time they really it's such a safe place where they can really just have a little meltdown, and just go, oh, I'm so glad you told me that I'm okay. Toby's just going into this beautiful, like insightful kind of like, just moment. And all of a sudden she realized, wow, like you're telling me I'm okay. And there's nothing wrong with me because I'm not Superwoman. And it's just really important.
It's really, I find it's a really important scene for any salon owner to really recognize that if they're in the midst of overwhelm and they are under so much pressure and they can't keep up with everything, it's not something wrong with them. It's that they've created a situation where there's demands that may well be too high for any human being to reasonably deal with. It's not like anyone,
that's right.
Like there's unreasonable demands on a salon owner, particularly if it's either in the early stages or it's mature but it hasn't been set up correctly, where it's just perfectly understandable. And it's not that the problem is with the person, even though the solution may be with the person may be empowered to actually move forward and solve it, but it's not like there's something wrong with them. And that's kind of the sense that can build up over time, I think, that it's just everything can't keep up. And it's perfectly understandable and reasonable because you may be in a situation where
nobody could keep up.
The practical demands are beyond what's reasonable for a single human being to actually take care of. Like they're,
100%. And there's two things, as I was listening to you then, is two things. Number one, listening to Elle about self-doubt and being female. I've done 2 podcasts on self-doubt, and the reason I did a second podcast on it was probably 20 episodes after, was because I was just blown away how just rampant it is and how it affects so many different people. But in agreeing with what Elle said, in both episodes, I've always said that, you know what, like whilst the majority of my podcast listeners are female because they're from the hair and beauty industry, I do have, maybe 25% who are male. But at the start of those podcast episodes, I've always said, like, these self-doubt episodes, they really are directed at females because the first 10 years of my working career, I was in the Navy. And so 90% of the people I worked with were male. And so pretty much everywhere you looked was a man, right? And then I shifted into the beauty industry, and everywhere I looked was a female. And so I feel like I have a really good lens to look through to see, you know, what the differences are. And I can assure you that when I was on the ships with the men, and it was pretty close quarters, and everyone sort of, you know, everyone was showering and whatnot. Men just get out of the shower and they look at themselves in the mirror and they legitimately think they look great. You know, they haven't worked out for 12 years and they're extra weight, but they think they look good. A female can actually work out multiple times a day and look really good at the peak fitness, all the rest of it, and they will still find something to judge themselves on and be critical of themselves. And because I've had both 10 years of men, 10 years of women really in the workplace, I can see it so clearly how much more it affects women with self-doubt, criticism and judgment. And it's really, really powerful to actually see that. And if you can get a female to stop self-doubting, gosh, that makes such a difference. To start believing in themselves again, it just makes such a difference.
I think that, you know, if I could just share something about that, and I think that's why I wrote my book. And, you know, to write my book, I did have my day job, right? So I was up at 5 in the morning every morning to write it. And one of the reasons that I wrote it is because it's principle-based. Like everything that we do is principle-based. Even True Brow is principle-based. You know, because it's just so powerful. Even the way that we eat is principle-based. Like our whole life is based on principles. And when you're, you know, so for me, I really love that. And the book is based on principles, and it's very action focused as well. It's about implementing the principles. And even if you're not implementing them, you can look at them and go, oh, that's where I'm, you know I'm doing that right now. I can't stop doing that. And it's hurting me, but, you know, I know it's not because it's somebody else's fault. So it starts really building different ground, giving a new perspective to women. And I think we don't have to even somehow want self-doubt to stop. We have to actually realize that it's just not real. And when I say that, it's like, you know, when a thought of self-doubt comes up for me, and, you know, anyone that actually says to you they don't have a thought of self-doubt, you know, 99.9% of the world has these thoughts that arise. Now, do we know where they come from? Do we know whether they're from our ancestors, from our genetic patterning? Are they from the collective? It doesn't really matter. It's our relationship to that thought that's really, really important. And when we shift that relationship, we actually don't care whether self-doubt comes up or not. We just don't need it. And I think that's a key thing. And that's where I'm really not a big believer in, you know, positive thinking or anything like that, or manifesting things. I mean, it's just not my deal. You know, I'm just not interested in it. I'm much more core focused, principle focused, because I want women and men. I want you guys, I want it for you too. That I really want women to actually get it.
Thanks for including us there.
But you know what I think? I actually think when women get it, most men, I'm not going to generalize, but I would say most men, when women really get it, just come to the party. In fact, you know, when I'm being real, when I'm being true, Toby I have everything I want. I just have it all. Like Toby is on his hands and knees and he's like, what can I do for you? You know, like it really is like that. It's like kind of crazy. It's like, it really is, Billy. It's kind of like women don't realize the power they hold. And if they actually shifted it into a perspective that was real and true, you know, 99% of what they actually are wanting is just there for them. It's just like, here it is.
It's true. Guys love the feminine, love true, real femininity. They love it.
And I mean, you know, we're not generalizing, not saying 100% of men, because you're going to get people that have got some, you know, patterns in them, that whatever. But in all honesty, from what I've seen and, you know, in my life and the way that I've seen this proven time and time again, it's just, we're a bit upside down. You know, women are a little bit upside down and they just have to get right side up and they'll have most of what they need right in front of them.
And there's no swiping left and right that's going to fix it.
Yeah, that's true. You said upside. I said upside down. Oh. Toby, I like that. Oh, the Tinder. All right, okay, gotcha.
Anyway.
So yeah, I think that.
So moving on.
Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was only because I'm mindful of time.
Yes.
And I just wanted to, if I could, bring it back to you guys, because honestly, I feel like this is such an interesting topic, and I feel like we can go back and forth on it because it's a spiritual side of things as well. And so it's a topic that we could definitely just talk about for ages. But I'm mindful of the time, and I want to give you guys an opportunity to tell people what you guys are going to be talking about at Salon Growth Con 2019. So obviously June 15, 16, hosting on the Gold Coast. We're hosting an event for 1,500 salon owners. It's going to be epic, even if I do say so myself. We've got some amazing things going on. And the thing I'm most excited about, though, is I really try to handpick the most influential, motivating, and like valuable speakers. People who aren't just going to get up there and go, rah, rah, yeah, you know, you walk away 2 days later and go, well, that was a great 2 days. I didn't learn much, but geez, I had fun. It's not about that. It's about having fun, but also walking away and going, actually, into my life immediately and start to take action on and do things. And I think you guys certainly have, even listening to you today, I mean, it's amazing content. So with that being said, what are you guys talking about at Salon Growth?
Well, you know, it's interesting. We actually want to really bring forward a number of things, but let me tell you something that I'm going to have to admit to, because we, like as a couple, as in business, we are developing every single day. And, you know, there's nothing that I personally and Toby bring out into the world that is not an innovation of some kind. I just am not into normal. I think people know that about me now. So it's kind of like, oh yeah, she's weird. You know, we know she's not going to do normal. She's not going to do normal. So in all honesty, you know, I'd hate to say, I mean, we know what we've presented and what we're saying that we're going to do, but this year for me especially is just moving and developing so rapidly. I'm having so many realizations, so many deep, profound awakenings within me that I honestly, like if I tell you what we're going to do and we've sent it through, we know what we're going to talk about, I can't promise that it's not going to be bigger, better, more crazy, more amazing by the time we get there, because you never know, I might even have a new book out, who knows? I mean, there's just so much going on, and I just wanted to put that forward, because I hate to say it's that, and then it's like, well, hang on, didn't you say that? Because, you know, it's I think when you get into that phase in your life, you're unstoppable with what actually the movement that's going on in you, and there's just, it's like an outpouring of more and more value, more insight, more direct knowledge. It's just extraordinary. So right now I'm in that phase that really I'd have to say my whole life has been about this moment, like right, you know, now, and what's actually happening right now for me as a human being, not just as a woman. And
yes.
So yeah, Toby, do you want to take it from there?
Sure,
because
sure.
that's my honesty,
this was one of the, you know, in our communication or, you know, when we were planning the event and stuff, I mean, we've got so much, like the volume of angles and content with which we can kind of help salon owners get things into place. There's a huge amount, but I think one of the core things that we were looking at sort of disclosing was an insight into a potential new model for a salon, an actual a different type of operating system than has been done in the beauty industry.
We're not talking about a software system.
No, nothing to do with software. We're dealing with looking at the core issues that salon owners face, being stuck behind a chair, everyone wanting them, not being able to sort of free themselves from the business, having team members leave and go and open up around the corner and take clients, a whole range of different things, but the core issues and a particular way of operating, like a foundational shift in the method and the practices as to how you run your salon that will actually transition in this different model and this reframing. It just completely clears and solves a whole range of these different sort of pain points?
Well, I have to say that actually was, that came to me in 2018 when in the mornings I go and I sit at my favourite coffee shop and have my coffee. And I have 2 hours of where I write content and really just reflect on things. And I had one of my salon owners came to me from, I think it was actually our coaching program, and she had an issue with a team member, and she just made a comment about something. And I just, as she said it, I just had this moment where I thought, wow, this is completely opposite to what you need to be doing. And I just sort of sat with it as I do. And then I just had this innovation. It was just like I said to Toby, this solves every single pain point a salon owner has. And I thought, could that even be possible? And I thought, well, you know, as I continued with Toby to develop it and look at it and explore it and reflect on it, and I just thought, wow, this is it. This has never been done before.
To touch on rolling it out in our salon coaching programs.
Yeah, and you know, we had girls when they heard it that just broke down and cried, like they just could not believe the relief experience. Yeah, so look, I'm really excited about it. I mean, we're really looking into automating it and making it really possible for salon owners to take it on and just be able to run with it. It's something that we're hoping we will have completely ready by that time. But as you know, sometimes, you know, you have the best intentions and life has different ones for you in business. And yeah, and I actually wanted to say something too. One of the things that, you know, I really want to share with everyone listening, Billy, is that, you know, for example, there was a book that you showed me, or what was it, the Nike, what was that one? The founder of Nike.
Swoosh something. It's basically the founder of Nike.
Was it his autobiography?
Yeah, he wrote the book, yeah.
It was amazing. Like Toby showed me, you know, just like a piece out of that book and the difficulty that he had. It was just devastating. I'm reading it and I'm just feeling, like my whole heart was thinking, oh my God, how did this man ever, like how did he
It's almost phenomenal that Nike even exists as a company, you know.
Yeah, there's so many stories like that as well,
really
right?
is. Like even, you know, from Walmart.
Sam Walton, yeah, made in America.
Yeah.
You know, how Walmart came to be. He was the richest man in America when he was alive at the time, and like so close just to failure so many times.
Yeah, I mean, a modern day version is Elon Musk. The amount of times that Elon Musk has nearly lost everything, like, you know, he put all of it on that last launch. If the rocket blew up, he would have lost everything, all the money he earned from PayPal, all that, like everything he owned, he would have gone. Like even recently, there was about to lose Tesla, and he had a month to make, what was it, like 2,000 cars a day or something. And so he pitched a tent. Well, it's a bit bigger than a normal tent, but basically pitched a tent in the car park and opened a new production line. It's just like, and you hear it, but then you hear the sad stories with, I'm going to fact check this afterwards. I'm pretty sure this is true. That the guy who invented diesel was a German guy. His last name was Diesel. And he couldn't make it work. And everyone told him it was a joke. He lost everything, lost his family, his money, and committed suicide. And then someone shortly after picked up a patent and took it to the market, marketed it correctly, and diesel fuel was born, you know. And so there's definitely different sides of that and how success stories happen, but sometimes the success stories don't actually happen, or certainly not to the.
But I think I think what's really important is for women, you know, that are out there really striving and doing their best, is to just know that it's, you know, when you say yes to stretching yourself and in business and doing something, building a brand, creating a brand actually, and then building a business around it, it's not meant to be easy. It doesn't have to be easy. It can be enjoyable, it can be joyful, and it can be energizing. That's the key. But, you know, if we let go of this whole belief that it should be easy or other people have it easier, it just changes everything. Immediately you're in a different space, you know, and that really opening to what's unfolding in front of you and not sort of thinking that it's wrong or, you know, look at the salon down the road. You don't know about that salon down the road. You don't know.
They're only showing their highlight reel.
That's right. It's just so important. Stay focused and stay clear and really just embrace that life is unfolding and accept everything that's before you and just move through it with a real quiet heart and just you'll get there. And, you know, some of the most wealthiest people in the world to get there have gone through hell and back. And, you you know, just letting go of the belief of it having to be a particular way, I think is really refreshing in a way.
Yeah, it is. And also I think that in terms of hard work, like it takes hard work to create a great business. But if you look at all the businesses that fail, over 90% of them, I would say, have worked just as hard, if not harder, than the businesses that have succeeded. Like, it's not like when a business fails, it's because they didn't try, right? It's kind of, you know, like you work hard, and some businesses pop and they go and it works, others don't. But the effort and
sometimes it can just be sometimes it can just be timing. Your timing was wrong. You know, like your idea, the market wasn't ready for your idea at that time. And then you see the exact same business launched by someone else 5 years later and it booms because your timing is right. But it doesn't mean you can't stop trying hard, right?
Pardon? What was that?
It doesn't mean you can't stop working hard, though. You can't just blame it all on timing.
Yeah, that's
right. You can't sit there in front of the TV and go, well, it was just timing.
But, you know, I think what's important from what Toby was saying is that just if you're enjoying it, you know, and that's what's important. It's the journey. And I know that sounds a bit cheesy, you know, and a bit corny. Oh, it's the journey. But really, it is the unfoldment. You know, if we look at it as an unfoldment, we bring joy into it, and you know, we're not so stressed. And so, you know, because ultimately you don't have control at the end of the day of the way life unfolds. So like I've had, you know, some
particularly
amazing
over an entire marketplace.
Well, you don't.
You can't control the marketplace.
So, you know, you do sometimes. I mean, at the end of the day, we have to see that sometimes things work and sometimes they don't. But who are you at the end of that, you know, that moment? And then you begin again. How many entrepreneurs begin again? And then they, bam, they just get it. So it's kind of never losing faith, always, you know, work in a way where you're just sustaining that level of joy and energy and inspiration, and don't go into that survival mode. You have to learn how to do that, not through positive thinking, not through mindset, but through something deeper. And I think that is the absolute key. And I think that, you know, really right now on the planet, there is a new woman that's emerging. Not just as a female entrepreneur, but a new woman. She walks differently. She loves differently. If she wants to be a female entrepreneur, she does work differently. She builds her brands differently. She parents differently. And for me, I'm really interested in her. And I'm going to run a campaign under the Elle Wilson brand, Billy, which is I Am Her. And I'm really excited about this movement because for me, it's like if I can leave behind something that matters for our children and for the world, well, you know, then I've done something, you know, and,
that is awesome.
And not necessarily that I have to do anything, but if I'm going to be doing things, because I am every single day, I might as well do something that is meaningful and really leaves women just looking back and going, wow, I was a part of that. So it's
that is awesome. And I'll definitely, in the description on this podcast, I'll definitely, I'll hashtag it as well. I Am Her.
Oh,
awesome.
Thank you. Awesome. That would be fantastic. I love it.
All right, guys, well, I have to wrap it up there. I feel like, you know, you are down the road, like we said at the start. We never knew that just until recently. But I genuinely feel like you guys are the sort of people I could catch up with. We could sit down and have a coffee with, or a little wine.
I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, and we could have really deep.
Can I just say, anyone listening or watching this, however you're hearing it,
it's hot,
I encourage you to go and type in the statement "I am her" and have it translated into French and just see what it is in French.
It was actually a real shock to me. So it was
take a look at the French translation.
It wasn't a shock. It was actually like really.
I'm going to do it since we finish.
Go and do it from English to French. It's cool. It's cool.
All right, I'll do it. All right, guys, I will definitely be catching up with you guys soon. Thank you so much for your time. I know you're so busy, and I appreciate taking that's been like an hour now out of your day. Good luck with your filming. I can't wait to see you guys in a couple of months, but it's like 4 months, 4.5 months now on the big stage, and you're also going to be at the cocktail event. You're going to be doing your round table and then the panel Q&A at the end.
Everything.
Whatever you want. There's so many people who are going to want to pick your brains and find out all about how you went from where you are, where you were to how you are now. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of female entrepreneurs, Elle, who are specifically interested in your thoughts and insights
Thanks,
into that.
Billy. Thank you so
So
much.
thank you so much, and I'll make sure I put your details as well, your businesses in the description on the podcast,
Awesome.
and I'll hashtag I and her. I'm going to check it out in French and see what actually happens. And if you've loved this episode, guys, if you are listening to this episode right now, if you've loved what Toby and Elle had to say, please, what I want you to do is take a screenshot on your phone right now. If you're listening to the podcast, take a screenshot on your phone right now, and then share it on your channels. Tag Toby and Elle in your post so they can see, and maybe you can ask them some questions. And if you're watching on YouTube or you're watching on social channels right now, please press that share button and share across all your platforms as well. Until tomorrow, when I do the next episode, I think the next episode is actually with another one of our speakers, Christian Tognini. Until tomorrow, thanks for listening. Thanks for tuning in. I appreciate all of you, and I will chat with you all again soon. Bye-bye. Hey guys, if you loved this video, please make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell so you don't miss out on any future content. And also, if you have not yet got your tickets for Sal and GrowthCon 2019, make sure you do. Go to the link that's in the description below because I do not want you to miss out on this amazing event.